Hello and welcome to the Chase the Vibe podcast. I'm your host Brooke, and in today's episode we have Bree Masters. From beach sprinting to track and field, Bree recently got the opportunity to compete at the 2022 World Athletics Championships and the Commonwealth Games. This is within just under 3 years of her switching sports. We chat about her journey to where she is now, her experience competing at such a high level, as well as juggling work and being a professional athlete. Here's Bree. Welcome, Bree, to the podcast.
It's good to be here. We've been talking about this one for a while now, and I'm excited to finally be on your show.
I know. It's been probably 2 months or more, was it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Well, I've been away for 6 or 7 weeks, and we were speaking about it before then, but now I've got lots of new things to share with you. So I'm excited.
I feel like it's welcome to the podcast, but welcome to back to Australia.
Yeah,
because when did you get back?
5 days ago, so Friday.
Still getting over that jet lag?
Yeah, day 5 they say is the trickiest. So I'm actually doing all right. I'm on a training break, so I think the break from training is helping a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm sleeping good. But last night I couldn't get to bed until about 11:30, and usually I'm in bed by like 8:39. I'm a grandma when it comes to bedtime, so
out like a light.
Yeah, and then up early for work today, so I'm a little bit tired today, but we're kicking on.
Nah. I haven't noticed.
That's good.
But yeah, all right. Well, I want to kick off. The first question I ask everyone when I start this podcast is, how do you chase the vibe?
I chase the vibe through my sport, which is track and field. So for those of you who don't know, I am a track and field sprinter. I run 100 metres and 200 metres. Previously, I was in surf life saving, so I've crossed from beach sprinting to track and field, but that is definitely how I chase the vibe every single day. Speed, trying to find out how fast I can run, what possibility there is in life in track and field for me, and yeah, just that's how I chase the vibe.
Yeah, it's so cool, and it's been really awesome to see your journey because before, and FYI, Bree is now part of the LSKD team. Before you were part of the team, you were our athlete. So I've been watching you before I knew you personally, and then now, and all of the amazing things you've been up to in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. It's incredible. So we're going to talk about that because there's so much that we can talk about with Worlds and Com Games and that whole experience. But I think I want to take it back to how this all started, a bit more about you yourself, and where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Sydney, in Cronulla. I'm a shy girl. My parents still live there and my sister, but I moved up to the Gold Coast in 2013. So I finished school in 2012 and moved up to chase beach sprinting because this is the hub of surf lifesaving, the Gold Coast. Yeah. But yeah, grew up in Cronulla. My parents put me into so many different sports. I was that kid that just did every sport. I guess they just wanted me to be fit, be a normal kid, learn how to do all your functional sports. Like surf lifesaving was a big one because, just become comfortable with the ocean. We in Australia, we're surrounded by so many great beaches. So I think that's a really fundamental part of growing up. And as a kid, dancing was actually my first love. I went to a performing arts high school. I thought I was going to be a professional dancer. I wanted to be in a full-time dance company. And things really changed after that. I went and did a full-time dance course and just decided, nah, this is not for me. I'm going to go chase running, which was really strange for me because I never really put a big focus on running. It was still there. I was still doing the sport, but I never had time for training. And I was quite a natural at it. As I grew up, I guess I wasn't the best sprinter when I was a kid. I would always get beaten by everyone else. I was quite small, but then I started to grow. And then when I was about 12, 13, I started to see results. I won my first beach flags medal, I think when I was 12. And then by 13, I won my first Australian title, which I became the youngest person to ever win an Australian beach sprint title because at that time I competed up in the under 15s age group. So I was still quite young. And from that moment on, I was like, you know what, this sport's pretty cool. I'm good at it. I really want to see how far I can go. So that's what led me up to the Gold Coast.
That's incredible to have that title so young, but also to have dance and that alongside each other. Was that a pretty crazy schedule?
Yeah, look, I think, like I said before, my main focus was dancing. So I was doing long hours. And as I said, I went to the Performing Arts High School. So living in Cronulla, I was going to school at Newtown Performing Arts High School. So it was about an hour on the train. So I'd get up quite early, I think, from memory. It was like a 7 o'clock in the morning train into school, do school. Dancing was just part of my curriculum. A lot of people say, like, did you just dance all day at the Performing Arts High School? I was like, no, like we did everything normal. There was just dance in there as well. And they were really, really good for that. And then after I finished school, I would go home back to my local dance school dance until like 4 till 9 p.m. at night and then go home. So there was really no time for running training whatsoever. I would just do it on the weekends. And there was a point there where I was juggling little athletics, because I did do little athletics when I was a kid, and surf life saving, but they all just started to collide with each other. And I just was like, I can't do all of this. So I loved being at the beach. I had better friends in surf life saving, so I chose that over little athletics at probably age 12.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think the strength that you had for dance helped with beach sprinting and that side of things, or vice versa?
Yeah, I guess so. I would probably say it made my ankles really strong. Like something weird to say, but doing a lot of ballet. I loved contemporary, and ballet was the fundamental of contemporary. So I did a lot of that, and I think point work and all of that jazz really, really helped strengthen my ankles. And then I guess when you're running on sand, it's a really soft surface, so you've got to have really stiff ankles to kind of stay balanced. So yeah, I guess that, and then a lot of strength and fitness really helped in that aspect.
Yeah. Been surrounded by the beach your whole life.
Yeah, literally. I love the beach. I'll never move away from the beach.
Yeah. And what happened from there? So you were 12 years old when you won that title. What did the rest of your teenage years? So you ended up graduating school.
Yep.
And from there you decided to go to beach sprinting, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So what did after school look like? How long were you in beach sprinting for?
Yeah, so I moved up in 2013 and I competed right up until I was 23, which is when I made the cross to track and field. So that was only 2.5 years ago. It took me a while to find results and find my feet in beach sprinting when I moved up, because just before I moved up, I got really sick with appendicitis. It really, really did rattle me. It was quite bad. So I lost a lot of my strength and everything like that, and just finding my feet again. And there was a point there where I couldn't even make a semi-final anymore. You know, I'd gone from being the youngest person to ever win a beach sprint title and being undefeated to I couldn't even make a semi-final. It was really, really tough time for me. And I think that lasted about 3 years. And then I think it was in 2015, I placed third in my first open beach sprint. And I cried. My sister was laughing at me. She's like, why are you crying? You got third. And I was like, no, like I'm back. Like it was that first feeling of success again. And from there on, it was just an upward hill to when I won my Australian beach sprint title in 2019, the open level. So like I'd won so many age groups before, but I'd never won opens. I'd come second, third, and I always wanted that gold in open. So yeah, finally achieved that in 2019, and that was the last Australian titles I did on the beach.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a great journey. I've represented Australia so many times in surf life saving, and it sent me so many amazing places, like Japan a couple of times, South Africa, multiple places in Europe. So yeah, it's a really, really great sport and I loved it.
Incredible. I remember us speaking about that time in your life where you weren't winning, and you know, coming from doing really well and then to kind of feel like you're back at the bottom. How was that mentally for you?
Yeah, really, really tough. I mean, a lot of athletes go through it. You know, not all seasons are the same. 1 minute you're winning, the next you're not. And it's really hard, and it's something that athletes probably don't speak a whole lot about publicly. But so many of us go through it. And it was definitely really, really tough time. But I knew how much I loved the sport. I knew how much I loved the thrill and excitement of winning, not necessarily winning, or just achieving your goals, whatever your goals may be. And I knew that I wanted to be back there, and I just grinded and grinded and grinded. So it was a really cool part to have that feeling of success, to know that it was all worth it and all my hard work had come to a point of success. So yeah, or at the start of the upward hill, I guess.
Yeah. So being in that position, you probably would have worked harder than you would have if you were winning, right? Because you kind of back to that point where you're like, well, square one, what do I have to do? Did you implement anything new, or were you just pushing as hard as you could and just seeing what that brought for you?
Yeah, I guess my focus probably went a bit more into training. Like I said before, I never really trained much for sprinting. So when I moved to the Gold Coast, that really changed. That was my one focus, my one sport, and I'd moved here for that reason. So I really wanted it to work out. I'd probably say I probably work harder than I did back then, to be honest, now. So I don't think the work ethic ever changes no matter where you are in the stage of your career. But yeah, it was a tough time. But I'm so grateful that happened to me, because it's taught me so many lessons today and where I am now that, yeah.
You don't regret that
No,
stage.
it's like, yeah, it was tough, but I look back on it like that taught me so much.
Yeah, for sure. And then when you decided to go to track, how did that come about? Did you just get on the track one day, have a run and go, yeah, this is pretty good?
Yeah, I guess so. Like I said, I did a little athletics when I was a kid and finished that at about age 12. And then I still did my school competitions right up until year 12, just casually jumping in, doing every event. And then, gave that away. And then I met my partner, Matthew Rizzo. He's a 100-meter sprinter. He was he was from Melbourne at the time and now he lives here. But he was coming to the Gold Coast for a race and he's like, why don't you jump in? Like, you train on the track. It's the same old thing, just a different surface. And at the time I was kind of losing love for surf lifesaving. I'd almost achieved everything that I'd wanted to. And I was thinking about uni, thinking about life after sport. And I was 23. I'm now 27 for everyone listening. So at 23, I wanted to retire and just, knuckle down. And I think he was like, no, you can't give it away. You love it too much. I went up. I did that and I ran 11:63, which was kind of mixing it in with some of the best in Australia at the time. And someone was like, you could really do well at this. And it's actually funny because at that race, one of my teammates said to me, like, I can see you running 11:3. And I was like, I literally laughed. I was like, no way. And then a couple of weeks ago at Worlds, I ran 11:29. So
isn't that
full
incredible?
circle, weird reflection for me, but that's how I got into it. Yeah. And so I'm really grateful. Like, my partner always says to me, you wouldn't be in track and field if it wasn't for me. Like, you wouldn't be doing all this. And I was like, okay,
you're like, don't take this from me.
Yeah.
but also
so funny,
credit.
Yeah, very true. So I'm really, really grateful that he convinced me to do that. And a couple of my teammates really encouraged it and my coach. So yeah, that's how I got into it. And the rest was history.
Yeah, there's a lot. And you only switched over, 2 years ago, was it?
2.5, almost 3.
Almost 3 years ago. And then from switching over to, running and having that conversation to, 3 years later, and you've just come back from Worlds and Com Games. Like, is that just crazy?
It is crazy. Like, wild. Because surf life saving is not an Olympic sport. It doesn't go to the Commonwealth Games. It has world champs and I have won a world title in surf life saving. That was a pretty special moment for me as well back in 2017. But they were just dreams that I kind of had because you watch it on the TV and you go, that would be really cool to go to and experience. Like, I want to be like that, but never thought you would achieve because your sport never did that. So really, really crazy moment for me because it just happened so quickly and something I never thought I would do.
Yeah. Is the training different between beach and track?
Yes and no. A lot of the training that I did for beach was on track and grass and all that, but I would say the difference mainly is the surface. So you've really got to change your technique. I've been finding it pretty tricky over the past few years to adapt to that and just be able to use the ground to the best of my ability to actually gain better speed, because on the beach it's all about lift your quads up, lift your knees up and just skim across the sand as light as you can, because if you use the sand for force, you're just going to sink and you just go nowhere. It's way too heavy.
Gliding atop rather than using that surface to push you forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the most challenging things for me is learning how to do a block start on the track, using the ground to push and propel forward has been so hard because I'm so used to just jumping out of sand that I dig blocks in the sand. So you're literally jumping out of 2 holes in the ground.
Yeah.
Rather than just pushing straight forward. So yeah, still working on that. Still a work in progress.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so when you switched over, you had that conversation, did something like a light just go off and you're like, all right, brilliant. I need a coach. I need this. I need that. How did that go?
Yeah, well, I'm still with my coach of 10 years now, I think it is.
So he came with you from...
I've just stayed in the squad that I've always been training in. Nothing has ever changed. I still train similar days, same location. I've changed my gym routine a little bit. I've got a new gym coach up at the Queensland Academy of Sport and he's great. But yeah, nothing really ever changed. It's still the same people.
So it wasn't a crazy change up in routine and this and that. It was kind of business as usual, but with a few other extra bits and pieces thrown in there.
Yeah, and it's really great because I've been able to take this journey with my coach who I've had for 10 years. So it's really awesome.
When did you realise that Worlds and Com Games and these elite competitions was in your reach? Or could be in your reach?
I guess last season we came pretty close to making the Tokyo Olympic Games in the 4x1 relay, like very, very close. I think it was like 0.06 of a second close, which was pretty heartbreaking. But I also looked at it and said, you know what, that's pretty cool. Like I was that close, and I never thought I would ever get that close. So that was a really like a light bulb moment for me. I was like, if I work really hard, like I can really do this. Like keep going. And I guess this season it all just kind of came about with Worlds and Com Games. But I guess as an athlete, I'm if you talk to anyone, I'm very chilled out. I'm very just like, if it happens, it happens. Like just riding the roller coaster. And even at Worlds, like I was nervous and I was putting pressure on myself, but at the same time I was like, hey, I've worked so hard to get here. I'm here now. What have I got to lose? Like enjoy the moment. And yeah, I just absolutely loved it. And I guess that helped me perform. That's how I work. But
yeah, you were probably in like the change room or the training center.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, whatever. And then there's someone like next to you just going, if I don't win this, like that's my whole career over. You're like,
pretty much. I was just that little kid that was just like, oh my God, Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price, like she's my idol. Like
yeah. And didn't you have a friend go, Bree, that's competition? You're like, I don't care.
Yeah. I was like, this is awesome. Like I'd love to learn from the sport's best. Like it's so cool just being in the same area as them and running on the same track in the same race. It's so cool.
I want to hear as well your feelings and thoughts when you realised you're going to Worlds and then Com Games, because was Worlds first, the announcement, or Com Games was first?
Com Games was first.
Because I remember you telling me that you had emails, waiting and coming through. And
I was like, I should hear this week. I don't know. Like it was a big waiting period. But yeah, we heard about Com Games first, and then because Worlds was waiting on a certain date for everything to finalise with World Athletics, that was a little bit later. Even though the World Champs was first. Yeah, it was a little bit of a later announcement date. But
so what was it like receiving that text, or was it a text or an email?
An email.
What was it like?
It was surreal. Like at first, because I didn't run the qualifying time, I was selected discretionary and met some criteria to be selected. I just didn't really know how that worked or if the selectors would want to take me. So my main focus was on the 4x1 relay because I was hoping that they would select a relay and that they would select me. So when I got the email, I saw 4x1 relay and I saw 100 meters and I was like, what? I was like, they're giving me a run individually as well. Like, this is awesome. So yeah, it was a really, really surreal moment. I just really took it in.
Yeah. And then Worlds was, for you, that was even bigger than Com Games. Like that. That's kind of.
Yeah. They say that that's the pinnacle of, along with Olympics, of athletics. So yeah, not many people get to go to a World Champs. I think I was the first female in 2 decades or something, or a decade, or Australian female to compete in the 100 meters at the World Champs. So I really stood back and was like, okay, that was good.
Yeah.
Like, this is a really big achievement. Not many people get to do this.
Yeah, I think it's just so cool to hear. Like, your story is just so incredible because it can really show. I know that you do come from a past of sprinting, but to flip it around, change the surface, and then end up where you have been, like it's insane. When you got that email, it kind of changed a lot for you too, because you weren't sure whether you were going to go, but then when you found out, you're like, hang on, I have to leave in like a few weeks. And we were like, what?
Yeah. I was like, hey, work, got to leave.
For 2 months.
Yeah, for 2 months. Just going to drop that bomb there. Bye. Yeah, it all really, really, really happened quickly. You just got to be ready to pack your bag and leave. And I'm pretty sure because Worlds was a later announcement, I pretty much found out and was like, okay, go buy stuff from the shops, get all your toiletries, pack your bag, you're leaving in 3 days. That was how quick it turned around.
Yeah.
I mean, Commonwealth Games we knew about a bit earlier, and Commonwealth Games was after Worlds, but because Worlds was
With Com Games you had a bit more time, but then Worlds came in and it was like, that's it. I'm off, see you later.
Yeah, and our sport does kind of prepare us to be selected. So, all the little things like my visa to get into the States and all that had been done. So there was a little bit of preparation on a basis that you might go. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was good that was all organised. But yeah, very quick bag pack.
Yeah.
And say goodbye to work.
Yeah. Which is fine. We were so supportive. We're like, go Bree, we're going to be watching,
Yeah.
So that didn't matter. We just missed you,
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So talk us through Worlds, like from getting off that plane to racing. How was that journey?
It was really, really fun. So we had they have a staging camp for 2 weeks in Seattle, or maybe a week and a half, just to kind of get used to the time zone. We do a bit of training there. And then we headed over to Oregon, So we're at the university there, or university college, whatever they call it over
Yeah.
there. Incredible facilities, and they say their track there, Haywood Field it's called, is just magic. They feel the magic, or So it was that. It's an amazing stadium, and it was a privilege to race there. And then just being in the vicinity of all the elite athletes that I've seen on TV and in the Diamond Leagues, I was like, this is really cool. Like, I'm eating next to these people in the cafeteria. I'm like, this is wild. How am I here? And I kept saying to my teammates, I was like, I shouldn't be here. And they're like, yes, you should. And I was like, yeah, I know I earned my spot here, but I was like, I shouldn't be here. Like, this is wild. Like, what am I? I'm a beach sprinter.
So surreal for you.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was pretty amazing. And the flight over was pretty cruisy. My jet lag was okay. I mean, the first few days of training were a bit like, am I actually going to be able to perform well? But yeah, it kind of all came together by the time I raced, and I put together a personal best run, which I'm really pleased about. But I knew when I saw my heat draw that I was like, oh, I don't know if I can make it out of the heat. But you know what? I'm going to try. Like, let's just go for it. And I had 3 of the fastest females in the field. I'm pretty sure they all made the final. Literally in the 2-1 lane next to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use these girls to help push me to a great time. Like, all I can do is run my best. And what more could you do at a major champs running a personal best? It's just...
And not many people, or any people, do that, right?
Yeah, I had a lot of people come up to me after the race and they were just like, Bree, people don't PB at their first major championships. Like, that just doesn't happen. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, oh, okay. Like, I think it was my 3rd PB of the season. So I was like, awesome, like PB.
Maybe that's your secret weapon, is pressure, or not pressure, but new things like firsts.
Yeah.
And then you could just get PBs that way.
It's really funny because I was talking to my physiotherapist before I left, and he's like, Bree, you'll be so fine. He's like, you tend to PB at big meets. This one's just a really big meet, so you're going to do a really big PB. And I was like, okay, cool. Channel those vibes.
Yeah. Well, what's the time difference between like your old PB and your new one?
So at the start of the season, I opened up with a PB, which was 11:36. So at the end of last season, it was 11:48 or 49. Can't remember. So yeah, I dropped to that in my season opener. And then at Nationals, I ran 11:33 and then 11:29 at Worlds. So I went from 11:48 or 49 to 11:29 in a season.
Dropping.
So yeah, it was it was a good improvement, and I'm really pleased with how it all went.
Yeah. If you could pick the perfect time, does that exist? Or
the perfect time,
it's just lower the better?
The perfect time would be an automatic qualifier to World Champs, Olympics, Com Games, whatever year that is, because that makes things a lot easier. So my qualification into the World Championships was done on points. So the system is confusing. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but you can either qualify with the automatic qualifying time, which this season was 11:15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then there's another component where you can get in on points. So basically, long story short, it's your best 5 races points wise. Points comes down to what time you run, what the wind was, and what level of competition, because there are bonus points on levels of competition. So you want to target those higher level meets to get the most out of your points. And then it all comes down to an average, and that's based off everyone in the world. So yeah, you're basically just competing in this point system, which was stressful because just like refreshing the like tally every day, it was bad. You shouldn't do that. I needed to put my phone away because you just like see your name dropping slowly, because the European season ends after our Australian season. So we'd finished racing. There was nothing more I could do for this qualifying period. I just had to wait. So just watching, my name slowly drop. And I think I ended up getting in by 3 people in the end it was 48 people who got to race. So yeah, just held on. I was like, please, Bree, stay in the quota.
Yeah, and then you did it.
Yeah, so that's how I got in.
How many times did you race in the US?
Once. Yeah, I just fell short of making a semi-final.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got 4th. They took the top 3 and then next best times. And I just wasn't in the next best times to go through.
It looked like a really cool experience being there as well. There was heaps of different brands set up and like a whole village, and that looked pretty cool too. Yeah,
it was really cool. I guess a couple of big brands set up hubs for their athletes. And I did get to go into a few of those, and that was really exciting, just seeing how they go about things. And yeah, it was really awesome. There was a couple of cafeterias, amazing food, really well thought out, athletes everywhere, like idols everywhere.
Yeah.
There was fun little interactions. Like there was a sign that you could write your name on. I'm not sure where they put it or what they do with it, but everyone had signed it and put their event. There was lots of shops, merchandise. Yeah, there was lots of stuff.
Range of things to check out. So you weren't bored, no. Like outside of training and racing, there was lots to do.
Yeah, lots to do.
Random question: which food was better, Worlds or Com Games? Which cafeteria?
Worlds. They had this pizza. Wild, so good. It was like on the most beautiful. Yeah. I did a post-race interview. They were just like, what do you want to eat right now or something like that, and I was like, the cafeteria pizza. No, that's a big call. I was like, no, it's the best pizza, and that's exactly what I went and got. I had like 4 slices of pizza.
Yeah, you're probably still dreaming about it now.
Yeah, and I guess it got a bit boring in the end in both places because it was just the same food over and over again, but yeah the World's food was better.
And then from Worlds, you finished that up, straight over to the UK, right?
Yeah.
Talk us through Com Games.
Yeah, so to start off with, the flight to the UK was hard. You're just flying the wrong way around the world. The jet lag, oh, that was horrible. I remember just being like this, like plain-faced, like just no mood. I was so tired. I couldn't train properly. Like I was training, but I just didn't feel like I had any gas in my legs. I was like, I feel like I've got nothing. Everyone's like, you okay, Bree? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'll get over it. But yeah, once I got through the jet lag, I guess the one thing that I found the hardest was also just picking myself back up to race again. Like I'd just been to my first major meet. I'd amped myself up. I'd run a PB. I had all these emotions. I was kind of having like a little bit of a come down moment. And then just trying to pep myself back up and be like, okay, you got one more to go. Like, let's go again. Like it's all exciting and everything. But yeah, that's probably something people don't talk about a whole lot either.
That's the second time. I mean, I'm sure many athletes have experienced it, but this is the second time I've heard that where you have this, post race or event come down from the excitement, from the hype, from the mental exhaustion. And then even though it's been the best experience of your life, it's just exhausting. And one of our athletes, Natalia, who went to the Olympics for BMX, she was saying the same thing, although she had her knee injury and so, and 2 weeks in isolation. But it's a real thing. And so I guess it would be a bit challenging to then try and G yourself up to then go to Com Games and race there. Yeah. So that was definitely tricky, but look, it's something we have to deal with, and I think I overcome it, but it was quite tough. What was the pre-camp like? Yeah, it was interesting. We were staying in Tunbridge at a boarding school, so I had the full boarding school experience. Wow. How was that like? Yeah, it was interesting. I had my own little tiny shoebox room, and it was actually up 5 flights of stairs, so my legs were kind of sore. So to go with the jet lag, I had the sore legs, and I was like, oh, come on. I was like, one more race. But other than that, it was good. We had I met up with the relay girls as well, so we had a 4x1 relay at the Commonwealth Games. Unfortunately, we didn't qualify for Worlds, so hopefully next year Worlds we do get there, but COVID screwed around a lot of that, and partly the reason why we didn't go to Tokyo. So we met up with the relay girls and the boys, did a bit of relay training as well as individual training, and then off to Birmingham we went. And and then the whole other that's when I got to watch you more so, because I feel like more televised than Worlds. And I remember myself like sitting on the couch, I think for that first heat that you did, just like I was ready to go to bed because it was like 9:30 or something. It was midday. Oh, was it? Yeah, in UK. Oh, yes, yeah. I was like, hang on, no, wrong race. No. And I was like, I got to go to bed. And I was like, no, I've got to watch Bree. So I actually had turned all the lights off because I was about to go to bed. And I was like, no, that's right, Bree's on. Yeah. And I'm like sitting on the couch in the dark just watching. I love the dedication. Thank you. No worries. And I like pulled my partner like down too, and I was like, we're gonna watch Bree. He's like, all right. We'd like G'ing up. And and that was incredible because you came second in that heat. In the dip. I think one thing I learned overseas was learning how to dip, because I did that at Worlds as well. Or just like
dip my chest over the line to kind of get in front of someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea because it looked really close.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's either second, third, like I
Yeah.
don't really know, but who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
So it was top 3 and then next best time. So I had to get top 3, and because there was Daryl in front of us, like miles ahead, and then there was 3 of us, I was like, okay, I need to get the dip here just to secure that big Q, we call it. So top 3 is a big Q on the qualification, and then the next best times have a little Q, so we can big Q. So I got that one in the end. But at Worlds it was the same thing. I think I dipped over one of the other girls to get 4th. And then that happened again in my heat, and I was like, I'm getting really good at dipping.
yeah, just throw it forward.
It counts, right?
Yeah.
0.001.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy how much that makes a difference, because I was even talking to our colleague Meg and just explaining to her, okay, what's Bree's time? And I was like, 11 something.
Yeah.
And she's like, and then we were saying, talking about something else. She's like, does that make that much of a difference? I was like, yeah, literally, like the point that such and such can be everything.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool watching you over there, because I'm like, no, Bree sits next to me. Now she's on the TV. One over. And it was an incredible race. And how was the atmosphere?
Yeah, crazy. To start off with, Worlds was my first big audience for athletics. I mean, being a dancer, I danced at the school spectacular. Was probably one of the biggest things
I was
in New
wondering
South
if
Wales.
you'd done that, because I knew Newtown gets a lot of
Yeah,
their
I did a
students
ballet
in that.
solo once with a few younger dancers dancing
pull
around
that one
me.
up later.
Yeah, it's actually on YouTube, and I'm dressed like a flame. I don't recommend it.
Love that.
So like that's a lot of people in Sydney Entertainment Centre. So I wasn't afraid of the audience or anything like that, because people are like, it can be quite daunting. I'm like, no, I'm not afraid. Like, put me out there.
Absolutely.
But Worlds was still a sold out stadium, but it was a much smaller stadium than Birmingham. So when I walked out of Birmingham, I was like, wow. I was like, there was 30,000 people in this stadium. I was like, this is wild. And they were just so loud. Like both audiences in both countries were amazing, but UK was just something else. I guess, they've held the Olympics before in London, so they know how to do it.
They're always just so passionate anyway.
Yeah, and they're passionate about every country.
Yeah.
Like everyone was cheering for everyone. I was like, this is awesome. Like what an experience. And yeah, it was wild. But it's funny you say that, like, I had such a good race, because it just didn't feel that way for me. There's so many things that I would have liked to improve on in that race. I mean, I thought I had a better start than what I usually have, but my back end just didn't feel like it was there, and then vice versa in the semi-final. So it's
I guess for you though, you're always analysing yourself so that you can be better, and hopefully not in a bad way where I should have done this, I can't believe that. It's like, okay, what can I learn from this? So you're always analysing exactly what you do, whereas I'm just like, woo, like, and I don't know what to be looking out for. I think if those that are sprinters or those that are coaches probably could have picked up on something like that, but for everyone else in the world watching, to be honest, it's like, who crosses the line at what point, And then watching the second, that was the second
semi-final.
And some of the people that you're up against, was any of those your idols?
Not at the Commonwealth Games. No.
Yeah, but still having those like really fast gals around you.
Yeah, you had like Elaine Thompson, but she was in a different heat and semis. So I didn't actually get to run with my main idols, but they were there.
They're around you. So and then obviously missing out a little bit there with the semi-finals, but you were there just for the experience and to have that opportunity and to know what that feels like. So
I think someone, one of the Athletics Australia stat guys was like, you're the second fastest female to ever to run that at a Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
So I think Sally Pearson was the fastest over 100 meters at a Commonwealth Games, and I'm just behind her. So I thought I was like, that's cool. Like, it's not a PB, or it wasn't a time I was looking for, but
to have that.
That's really cool.
Yeah. What did you end up coming for comms?
13th
in the world.
No, in comms.
Sorry, in comms.
30th in the world.
And then what was worlds?
30th.
Sorry, yeah, right. It's
wild. I was like, wow.
There's only 29 people above me.
I know, it's like 30th doesn't sound good, but I was like, number one, I'm in track and field in the blue ribbon event of 100 meters and I've only been in the sport for 2.5 years. I was like, you got to be pleased with that, Bree. Like,
absolutely.
take the small wins. You know, if I make the next Worlds, let's do better. But like, yeah, I always have my big goals, but I always have my small goals too to make sure I kind of tick them off along the way.
Yeah. What do you think the best thing about what you do is?
Oh God. The best thing, I would have to just say the thrill. Like, I can't even describe what it's like to be out there with 30,000 people watching you and then running a PB. I don't know. It's just like, I can't describe it. Like, you have to feel it. And it's crazy because like as athletes, you work so hard to reach that point. And it's like, I really did achieve this. Like, soak it up. Like, this is the moment that you've been working for. So I guess, yeah, for me at the moment, it's been making Worlds and Commonwealth Games, and that thrill that came with it was really cool.
I think it's crazy how much training and dedication you have to run just over 11 seconds.
Yeah, it's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
It's
you spend you've spent years just training and preparing for that.
2 seconds.
Literally.
And it's crazy because you've got like all the field events, like heptathletes, decathletes, they're all out there for God knows how long doing their event. They get to soak it all up. And I mean, I feel like I just went out there, had a look, like one of my friends was like, take mental pics. And I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden you just like shafted off back into the post-call room. It's like, wow, that happened so quickly. Like, can I go back out and just stand there and just look? Like, can I do it again? So yeah, our event happens really quickly. And it's just crazy to think that like you put in so many hours for those short few seconds, but it's just years on top of years on top of years of work that leads to that point.
Yeah. And I guess the really cool thing about that is, yes, it's just over 11 seconds, but you were there for 6-7 weeks. I mean, you had a holiday on the end of that, but
that experience.
It's so much more than that. Getting to meet your idols or be around them and getting to see what that whole experience is like. So as much as I say, yes, it's just over 11 seconds, it's more than that. But yeah. So what's next? Are you off season at the moment?
Yep. So I've had about 3 weeks off now. So yeah, I had a little bit of a holiday in Italy.
Yeah, how was that? That looks
beautiful.
A treat. I'm sitting at my desk going, Bree, if you post one more thing. No.
Yeah, look, I mean, I can give you the whole Instagram versus reality story, but yeah, it was really hot. There was a lot of hills, a lot of kilometers, a lot of walking, a lot of stairs. But then I took the pic in the cute places.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. It was funny. Some of the girls here were talking about, you're in your yacht or
and I was like, there's a public ferry.
They're just nice looking. She just got the angle.
Yeah, I cut everyone else out and I got myself lying on the chair in the corner.
And I just thought that was so funny because, you're like, no, girls, it's a public ferry.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're still in Italy, living your best life.
Yeah.
And you got to travel with your family as well.
Yeah, so we haven't been on a holiday as a family for a long time. So that was really nice. I just went to Italy, back to London for a few days. I had to fly out of London. So and then made the trip home, and then I've had this week off training, and then I'll go back to training on Monday, which is in a few days.
Starts
back into it, back into base fitness, back into pre-season, back into a lot of work, and then probably look at opening my season early next year.
Yeah. What's the next event coming
There's
up?
another Worlds next year in Budapest. So because of COVID, usually they happen every 2 years, but because of COVID, it's doubled up this year.
Oh, wow.
So we'll go
straight back
qualify
into it.
for that. Yeah.
What
then they've
month is that?
Oh, similar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
August, July. Yeah. But they've dropped the qualifying times this season. So everything's got a little bit harder. So we've got to put in more work. But I'm super motivated to get back into it. Hey, like that experience was super cool.
Just
something I want to
motivating.
experience again and, do better at, my goal was to get there. And now it's like, okay, get there and do better. Yeah.
So it's all happening.
It's all happening.
You won't be able to do a HIIT workout again.
Oh, yeah. For those
Wondering.
So at LSKD, they do staff workouts every Tuesday. And Bree, you should jump in. I'm like, guys, I do too much training. I can't.
We convinced you because it was the off season.
Yeah, I was like, this is the one session I can do, before I get back into it. And I kid you not, I lasted a quarter of the workout, which was like one set of 4.5.
And then you're just dying on the floor.
I walked out. I was like, I'm about to throw up. And I remember going out and lying on the table and like Lockie and that were like just laughing at me.
It's like Ken run like professional, athlete cannot do HIIT workout.
Does not have any fitness whatsoever.
I can't talk. I didn't end up doing that session, so it was all it was, But
thanks, Abby, for the killer workout. Apparently they said that was one of the harder ones. So
everyone came down sweating and I was like, you know what?
Yeah, I even tried to pace myself. That didn't work.
Yeah. Although I saw you on the
curve. Yeah, I just was like, I felt really bad after I kind of recovered. I was like, I feel like I should do a little bit more. Like, that was a bit of a pussy effort. So I was like, but I'll just go back to what I know. So I just did some 100-meter strides on the curve.
Yeah.
To make myself feel better.
No, but line all of us LSKD staff members up against you in a sprint. We wouldn't be off the starting line. You'd be done. You're like, guys, what are you doing? So
who wants to see that?
I actually want to do it.
Let us know.
Yeah, just line all of the team up and see. I said to Meg, I was like, Bree would be finished by the time we even looked up to on your marks go
slow
type
reaction
thing.
time.
Yeah. She's like, I'd do it in a minute 30, and I was like, I'd do it in a year 30.
Minute 30, I think you'd be faster than that over 100 meters.
How was it going from your individual race to then the relay?
Yeah, so I finished the 100 meters and I had 2 days off, I think, to focus on relay. And it was kind of tricky because the relay was thrown in, or the heat was thrown in the morning of the 200-meter final. So a lot of my friends were in the 200 meters who were also in the relay. So we were kind of waiting to see oh my God, are we going to have a team? Because if they make the 200-meter final, who's going to run? We had to try and find reserves.
Wow.
So that was a little bit tricky. But in the end, we got together a team. We had some reserves run because Ella did make the final. And then Ella popped back in for the final. So yeah, we got through the heat. We did what we had to do. That was one thing we wanted to do, was just get to the final. So we did that, and then the final was just all go. And I think we went in ranked 4th on best season times. So I knew that to get a medal, some other team was going to have to drop the baton or something to happen, or we're just going to have to run out of our skin, either. And I said to the girls, I was like, I don't care if we get disqualified. I was like, let's push these changes to the absolute limit and just go for it. What do we got to lose? Just go for it. And that's what we did. And we ended up running 43.16, which is the 3rd fastest time ever by any Australian 4x1 female team. I think it was the fastest at any major meet. So that's fastest at any Games, Olympics, World Champs by any Australian team. And it turns out to be a Queensland record. So because we were all from Queensland.
Did you know that at the time?
Legit. Yeah. Well, no, we didn't think about it. And then someone posted Queensland record. And I was like, oh yeah, true. And then I got home and I have a certificate that's got Queensland record with all it on there. So yeah, it was a legitimate thing in the end. So it was crazy because we were so close to getting a medal. We knew we could do it. We knew it was there, but it's just I mean, Elaine Thompson, the Olympic champion, the only person that could run us down, let's be honest. It was going to be someone. I'm glad it was her. Yeah. But I guess people were saying it took someone special to take you guys down.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we did absolutely everything we could and ran an amazing race, and we were so stoked with it.
Yeah, it looked like an epic race as well.
Yeah.
And who was it saying you had big hands?
Oh, Mia.
Was it easy to get it off you or something?
I actually have extremely big hands.
Oh,
Do you want to
do.
just
Hang on,
measuring
we're just
our
measuring
hands?
hands. You've got nails on too.
Oh, your hands are quite big.
I've got long fingers.
Yeah, I think I have long fingers too.
Daddy long fingers.
No, Mia loved to make that joke.
Too.
Yeah, I do have big hands though. I do. And it makes a great target for the baton.
I don't think. Yeah, no, yours are definitely bigger.
Yeah, it's pretty
but yeah, perfect target for that.
Yeah.
Made for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
But we had Mia's actually a really great story. So she filled in the heat because of Ella making the final, and she was actually in hospital a few months ago with appendicitis on one of our relay camps. So it was really, really special to share that moment with her. She was so excited to run. Good to see her back out on the track. She'd worked so hard for that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Did she get to race in any?
No, just the relay.
Just the relay. Yeah. So she would have been stoked.
Oh, she loved it. She's like, can we do it again?
Yeah. She's like, no, we have to go on now.
Yeah, she's a funny one. I remember when she said that on the TV, I was like, is that a good thing that I have big hands? Or we just laughed about it later.
That's right. I remember that. Speaking of interviews, what's that like? Are you exhausted after you've raced, or are you ready? Could you? Because I know that a lot of the swimmers, when they come out,
they can't breathe.
They can't breathe. They're like, there's a breath between every word. Whereas I found with you kind of had a little bit of a puff, but you were just fine.
I guess I only ran 100 meters compared to, what the swimmers do or the distance athletes in track and field. I do get puffed, but yeah, it is only 100 meters. And I guess the adrenaline kind of takes over. You kind of don't realize until you walk out that it all, like I said, the come down, even just like the few weeks later, it's just, you're all pumped up and at a high. But I've known Jace for a while, and he's interviewed me a few times at the Stall Gift and whatnot. So I'm really comfortable speaking with him from Channel 7.
Oh, that's good.
But the one thing was the audience was right there. And they were just like screaming, Bree, or like people next to me, because there was lots of different countries' media lined up. So then like someone next to me was doing an interview with their country and people were yelling at them, and it was just like
a bit overwhelming.
And there was one part I just didn't understand what he stood. I was like, what he said. And I was like, sorry.
Say it again.
Yeah, but yeah.
Oh, I think I remember that. Something about Instagram.
Yeah. And I had no idea what he said because people were just
like,
yelling.
Bree double E.
Yeah, Bree with the double E.
Yeah.
Oh, triple E.
Triple E. Yeah. And I was like, thought that was funny because I was like, I couldn't even half understand what he said either because it was
so
much
loud.
so much noise going around.
Yeah.
But what a vibe though, like being a part of that and having, everyone cheering the Aussies on, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's definitely like Commonwealth Games is so loved in Australia. There was so much support.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's really great televised or television.
Yeah.
Greatly televised.
Because for me, I didn't realise that, Worlds is more so the pinnacle. But I think it's just for me because I know of Com Games quite well, and it's always, really well televised. And whereas Worlds, not as much.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you got every country there,
each to their own.
More competition. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. So the next step is getting you over to Budapest, getting you racing, and winning. No.
Oh yeah, and then onwards to Paris. That's my ultimate goal. Paris 2024. So yeah. Hopefully that'll set me up for another good year and so on. But that's the ultimate goal.
That'd be cool. Is there different, I don't know, training schedules or anything, or is it just for the next till 2024 when you have to go through that qualifier for Paris? Is it just business as usual?
Business as usual, yeah. My coach writes all my programming, same with my gym coach.
Yeah.
And they communicate, but it might change here and there, year to year, depending on, when races are on, when you need a peak by. But yeah, pretty much similar stuff. Yeah. I'll be leaving here at 3:30, going to the track, same old. Going to gym. Repeat.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot of training involved, and especially having to back it up quite a lot for World and Com Games. Like what's your number one recovery tip?
I would say sleep. Like I literally do not function without sleep. I love my sleep. The one thing my partner's got me into is going to bed early. He's like, turn your phone off, going to sleep.
What time's that?
Like 8:39.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes earlier because he gets up really early for work, so he has to get his hours in. But that became a really good habit of mine, and sleep is definitely the number one thing.
Yeah, I can relate with sleep. Like, I mean, I'm not an athlete, but I love sleep, and I agree. Like, I think recovery for you being an athlete, but just in general well-being as well, making sure that you get
better.
Enough sleep and good quality sleep as well, because you can lay in bed for 8 hours, but if you're not deep getting that deep sleep, and a lot of the guys here have all of the whether it's the Apple Watches or the Whoops, that really track you that in depth, and then
some of them are asleep so badly. Like there's like 6 hours there.
Function.
I'm like, what? I was like, I'm happy if I don't get like 8 or 9.
Yeah. I do get shitty if I don't have a good, like I'll look and I'm like, okay, what's the time? Oh, okay, I'm going to wake up at this time because I know that's like 7.5 or 8 hours. And if it's anything less than that, I'm just like, why are we going to bed so late? And blah, blah, blah. But for me, I wouldn't mind going to bed a bit earlier because right now it's like, I don't know, 10:30 and but in saying that, I don't get up until 6:30. So it's not
it's not like I'm up at 6 this morning.
What's your normal schedule? Like, when do you normally get up?
I'm an early riser. I don't know if it's just Queensland, Gold Coast, it's bright early, everyone's up and about, everyone's exercising, and it's just a lifestyle. Because I know when I went to Melbourne a few years back, it was dark, it was cold, I was sleeping until 9. I was like, oh, I don't do this. Similar with overseas, I was sleeping a little bit more, but I guess my body clock was a little bit different. I had to adapt to that time zone, and I got really good at napping overseas because like it was just like train, I was working still over there, and then I was like, oh, I have a nap. And now I've come back. I'm like, oh, she can't nap anymore. She's going to have to get used to it because I wasn't a napper before that.
Yeah. I've napped at work before.
I know. I remember that actually.
Yeah.
You didn't feel well.
Yeah, that was one other time. But
There was another time.
I've napped a few times. I think one of the teams that I was at the old office, I was like I was on a beanbag, but I'd like slipped off. So I was half on the concrete and half on a beanbag. And everyone's filming like, are you okay? And I was like, I just love napping.
Yeah. There's a point there where if you like nap too much, like too far, like you got to have a good half-hour speed nap.
There's like a 20-minute or 22-minute or something like that rule that you sleep for like 20 minutes and then it recovers you.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you go too long, then you wake up feeling groggy and you're like, why did I?
Yeah, I slept for 2 hours, I think, in a nap in the UK and I woke up like I was like, where am I? Like I literally had no idea where I was for a good half hour. I was so spaced out. I was like dizzy. I was like, that was a big nap. Like I must have been so deep and then my alarm went off and I was like,
woke you up. Yeah, it was like when you wake up, you're at a friend's house or you're somewhere else and you wake up and you're like, where am I?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's right, I'm here. I actually did that just today at yoga. Brent, our yoga teacher, like just zens us out, hey. And I was like, I felt like I was falling asleep. And he's like, all right, guys. And I like just was stunned. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, I'm at home in my bed. And then I was like, no, I'm laying on the like upstairs on the rooftop at work. Yeah. Anyway. So that's your number one tip.
And then I would have to say like, you know, water, always drinking enough, hydration, food's what you eat. Like I don't restrict anything. I don't have a specific diet. A lot of people ask me that, like, you know, do you have a specific diet or whatever else? I don't. I just listen to my body. I love chocolate. I love ice cream. I love the foods that aren't so healthy for you that I just
moderation, right?
Yeah, everything in moderation. And I felt like in the past, if I restricted something out of my diet, I would just go 10 times harder at it when I was allowed to have it. So like my in-season to my off-season weight used to fluctuate a lot. So now just like learning to have things in moderation, I feel like I'm at this like steady plateau with everything. And obviously when you come into a really big meet, you want to restrict things a little bit more. And I have a dietitian who helps me with all that at the Queensland Academy of Sport, which is so great. So yeah, if anyone ever wants to know more about diet and whatnot, I definitely recommend seeing a professional because
they can make it work for what you're doing.
And I think, the most important thing I think I learned this season was eating and fueling my body enough to get through a big competition. So nationals, I tried to do the 100 meters, 200 meters, which is about 5 races if you make finals. And I just couldn't do the 200 meter final. Like my hamstrings, because I've had a previous hamstring injury, they started cramping up. I was scared. I was like, I don't want to hurt myself now. Like I'm going to miss out on everything there is to come ahead, like Com Games, Worlds. And I was also like on the ground in a fetal position, just like tired, no energy. And I just hadn't fueled myself enough. And I spoke to my dietitian about that. And then for the next competition, I fueled my body correctly. And I got through 2 100s, 2 200s and a 4x1 relay. And I was sore, but I got through it. I had energy and that was a big achievement for me. So, you know, food's not just for losing weight or whatnot. Like it's also about fueling yourself correctly to perform at your best. And I think that's really important. And then to recover on top of that, you need food.
Yeah. I mean, food makes you happy. And I know sounds strange, but there's actually apparently a link between your stomach and your brain. And if you're not eating it,
hangry.
Yeah, well, that's that's probably not the technical term, but it's you need to fuel not only for the activity, but just like mood and general well-being, and so that's a good one. I love chocolate as well. It's my weakness. I do what you said you shouldn't do, you know, where it's like gets a taste and then I like
restrict it and then
I'm just eat the whole block, whereas you know, but not that I restrict myself, but I mean that's why I try not to buy it. And then I reflect, I'm like, Brooke, next time just buy like the small
that's what I do
stuff, and then even if you eat the whole thing, like who cares? Whereas instead of buying a block and then
I try and do that too. I only buy it if Matt and I are going to share it. Otherwise I'll eat the whole thing too. And it was funny because when I was in Italy, I think I got like a whole block of Milka chocolate, like the European chocolate.
love that.
Yeah,
it's
so
like
good.
German chocolate.
My dad was like, you don't eat that, do you? And I was like, Dad, I probably have like a bar a day? And he's like, no. I was like, yeah. Like, there's always me in the office. Like, I have like this really healthy lunch. Then I'm like, I might go across the road for a Freddo.
Oh, running across the road for a 3 p.m. chalky treat.
Yeah.
Nothing better.
That's definitely me.
Yeah. Now, you finished uni, what, only 6 months ago? Is it a year ago?
Yeah. I finished up with my last exam at the end of last year. Maybe like November, December, before Christmas break. And then I graduated in February.
Yeah. What did you study?
I did a Bachelor of Communications Business with a major in Marketing and Public Relations at Bond University. Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're working, as I mentioned at the start, you work for us here at LSKD, which is awesome. 3 days a week. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So just 25 hours a week. I can't handle full time at the moment with running because got all that on my plate too, but it's a perfect balance at the moment.
How do you juggle that? Because that seems pretty full on.
Yeah, it was tough. There was a point there where I was doing, I think it was just 2 subjects at uni to finish off because I'd done a mixture of full-time and part-time depending on what I could handle at certain times of the year. And then I was working 30 hours a week at my previous job and then also running and traveling and doing my other social media work on the side. It was a lot, but look, it's taught me some really, really good time management skills. And I think I thrive under pressure, to be honest. I love being busy because when I'm bored, I'm like, what do I do? I need those days to sit on the couch and get so bored that I need to go and do something again. But yeah, I always have to be busy.
Yeah, it's nice to relax, but I'm the same thing. You sit down, you're like, well, I could actually be doing this, this and this.
Yeah.
That's kind
of your mind's still going.
Yeah. You need to like get away to actually switch off.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for those that are trying to juggle a lot? Like, is it just having a schedule, having a routine and sticking to it, or?
I guess so. I mean, everyone's different. You know, some people can't handle all of that and they get extremely stressed out. But I mean, I've been so stressed with university and I put a lot of pressure on myself to achieve certain things, whether that's in uni, work or sport. But I feel like you just got to push through. Like if I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do it. Like it's stressful for a certain time and then it all comes to an end. Like some things don't come to an end. It's got to keep grinding every week, like work and whatnot. But university was going to come to an end for me. Yeah. So I knew that load would drop off and I could finally just focus on work rather than having to do both. But yeah, I would just say just grind and definitely time management.
Yeah.
I live off my Apple calendar. If it's not in my phone, in my calendar, then
it's not happening.
I'm probably going to forget about it.
Yeah, I'm the same thing.
Yeah.
Fill it with things.
Yeah.
I'm like I have to
even
go
the
here.
basic of things, like post this off at the post office. Like,
oh, really? You go down to that detail?
Well, I just forget. I don't really use my reminders or anything.
I use my reminders, but maybe I should use my calendar because my reminders come up and I'm like, yeah. Just like chuck it, swipe it away kind of thing.
That way you can just look at your day and be like, okay, this is what I have to do.
Yeah, and probably gives you, makes you do it as well because sometimes with reminders you can be like, oh yeah, I can do that later, or I'll do that, I'll mute that for an hour or whatnot. But yeah, that's it. I like that tip.
Yeah.
And what do you do here for anyone that doesn't know?
Yeah, I do public relations here. So yeah, hard to describe public relations. People are like, what even is that? But it's a marketing function and I basically work with journalists, media, getting LSKD out into the public, working with athletes, getting their name out into the media. And then I'm also part-time model and TikToker.
I feel like it's like that's your job here.
Yeah, that is my job.
You're like there in the middle of an email and it's like, Bree, we need you. Come up to the rooftop, do this TikTok, do this reel, take this photo. And you're like, okay, that's fine. But it works.
Yeah,
it's works. Really handy.
It's fun. And, it breaks up my day, gets me up off my desk.
Yeah.
Go do something fun and then
you can come back and get back to those emails.
Yeah, but no, I love it. And I'm still learning within the field and I'm really grateful that the team here have taken me on board to help me learn and learn as I go and learn with me. We're all pretty new to PR here. So putting what I've learned at university into proper practice it's exciting and I love it.
Yeah, be an expert in no time. I'm sure.
Hopefully.
I'm sure. Well, thank you. I think that's about it. We've probably been chatting for a while. It's just clocked over an hour there. So
good chats.
Yeah. Once we chop it down,
Hope your ears aren't burning.
Might not be an hour. But I appreciate you, stepping away from that desk and coming and joining me for a bit of a chin wag.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.